Palestine, the unbroken spirit from 1948 to today. Before the barbed wires, before checkpoints and walls, there was Palestine, a land of olive groves, mosques, churches, and synagogues living side by side. Muslims, Christians, and Jews shared markets, cities, and traditions under centuries of coexistence. This is the story of how that peace was shattered, how a people were uprooted, exiled, and occupied, yet never silenced. This is the story of Palestine. Before the storm, the roots. For centuries, Palestine lived under Ottoman rule, a multicultural society of Arabs who worked their lands, worshipped freely, and called this land home. Jews were part of that fabric too, living mostly in peace among Arab neighbors. But in the late 19th century, far away in Europe, a political movement began to change everything. Zionism, the belief that Jews should build their own nation-state in Palestine, emerged as a reaction to European anti-Semitism. It was not a movement of local Jews from Palestine, but of Europeans seeking to colonize a land already inhabited. By the early 1900s, small groups of Jewish immigrants began arriving, buying land from absentee landlords under the protection of the British Empire. These early purchases displaced Arab farmers, a pattern that would expand over decades. The birth of Israel, the Nakba, begins. In 1947, the United Nations voted to divide Palestine, giving most of the land to a new Jewish state, even though Palestinians made up the vast majority of its population. The decision was celebrated in Europe, but in Palestine, it meant catastrophe. When Israel declared independence in 1948, armed militias began expelling Palestinians from their homes. Hundreds of villages were emptied, entire communities erased from the map. Palestinians call it al-Nakba, the catastrophe, when over 700,000 people were forced into exile. Entire generations grew up in refugee camps, waiting, dreaming, believing they would one day return. Occupation and resistance, decades of struggle. After 1948, the remaining Palestinian territories fell under new control. Gaza under Egypt, the West Bank under Jordan. For the people, it was a life divided, families separated, identity fractured, yet hope quietly endured. In 1967, war reshaped everything. Israel took control of the remaining Palestinian lands, including East Jerusalem. From that moment, daily life came under military rule, checkpoints, restrictions, and growing tension. Yet even under occupation, the spirit of resistance lived in songs, in classrooms, in the hearts of young and old. Art, poetry, and memory became weapons of identity, a way to stay alive, to stay Palestinian. The uprisings, intifadas, and global awareness. By the late 1980s, decades of occupation and displacement had left a new generation determined to rise. The first intifada began, not with armies, but with people demanding dignity and freedom. The world began to notice. Journalists, cameras, and voices from afar started to witness the human story of Palestine. Images of youth, women, and families standing unarmed became symbols of courage that reached every corner of the globe. In the 1990s, peace talks promised hope. Handshakes on world stages gave people a reason to dream again. But on the ground, little changed. The walls grew higher, the checkpoints multiplied, and daily life remained a test of endurance. Gaza. Siege, survival, and strength. In the years after the peace accords, Gaza became one of the most isolated places on Earth. Its borders closed, its sea restricted, its people living through blockades. Yet they continued to rebuild, to live, to dream. Every few years, Gaza faced new waves of destruction, but each time, its people rose again. Children went back to schools, artists painted hope on broken walls, and life returned to streets once silenced. Through every hardship, Gaza's spirit became a symbol, not of defeat, but of unbreakable will. The world watched, some in silence, some in solidarity. But Gaza kept breathing, creating, surviving. The modern struggle, voices of a new generation. Today, a new generation has inherited the struggle, not through weapons, but through words, art, and technology. They share their truth with the world, live streaming, writing, documenting their everyday reality. Their voices break the barriers of censorship and distance, reaching millions who now see, listen, and stand with them. Music, poetry, and culture have become their peaceful language, their way to stay rooted while looking forward. In refugee camps and cities alike, hope is taught like history. Passed from grandparents to grandchildren, they dream not just of return, but of peace, justice, and the right to live free in their homeland. Palestine today, the unbroken spirit. Today, Palestine still stands, not just on maps, but in the hearts of millions across the world. From the olive trees of Nablus to the shores of Gaza, the land continues to breathe, to remember, to endure. Palestinians continue to build, to educate, to create, turning struggle into strength and pain into purpose. Each sunrise is a reminder that the story is still being written, one of dignity, culture, and unshaken hope. The world changes, borders shift, but Palestine's spirit remains, unbroken, unwavering, eternal. Because Palestine is not just a place, it is a heartbeat that refuses to fade.